Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, a Victoria's Secret supermodel, took a photo grilling in a tiny bikini.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I wouldn't call myself a supermodel.
I hate to break it to you this way, but we're not talking about you.
Really?
Okay?
I was grilling over the Memorial Day weekend.
I would hope you'd be like fully clothed in several layers.
You know what? I was showing a little bit of leg out on the back deck, but that was by invite only. Not everybody could see that. Those jean shorts I've got, they're coming back. They're coming back.
About 30 years from now.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode of Baca's Impact, Rory's comeback and Manny's new gig. But we begin today with the Miami Heat sprinting past the Indiana Pacers on their way to a 3-1 lead in a series that looks all but settled. Wilbon, this game was characterized by Lance Stephenson's trash-talking at LeBron, by LeBron's explosive 32-point, 10-rebound, 5-assist response, by Roy Hibbert's return to Hello Bagel Land, and by Paul George complaining that the 34-17 disparity in free throws was, quote, home cooking, unquote. So which of these factors was most important?
LeBron dominated the game. I mean, LeBron dominated that game, and the previous game was dominated by LeBron and Dwayne Wade when it mattered. And Stevenson, you can go number 2. You can talk trash. I love trash talk. Love trash talking basketball. The greatest players, some of them have been some of the greatest trash talkers. But you can't talk trash about the best player in the world and then score your first basket with 5.5 minutes to play in the game. You look like a clown, okay? And then Hibbert, look, I like Paul George a lot. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, you know what? I know there was a free throw shooting disparity,
34 to 17.
But the Pacers didn't play.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul George didn't get going until late in the game. It's the Pacers' fault.
Let's take these one at a time. Paul George needs to shut up. Okay, you may like him. He needs to shut up.
I do.
He's allegedly a superstar, and you show me where he's been a superstar in this series. Roy Hibbert also now blaming the game plan as if the game plan said you're supposed to score no points and not guard Chris Bosh. Here's what we know about Roy Hibbert, that they may not always win when he scores points, but they always lose when he goes for the goose. Okay,
that's right.
You're right. It's LeBron. And I was talking to Greg Cody in the Miami Herald on the radio today, and I was a little bit surprised by this, Mike. Maybe you were not, but I know Michael Jordan used to invent things to get him psyched up. And I didn't think LeBron did that, but what Cody said was LeBron does care about what people say about him. And he did respond specifically to Stevenson. Specifically.
Tony, what great player doesn't care? Look at the games in their lives that remember Bird and the great Julius Irving in the trash talk.
Some people try to
Michael
say
Jordan.
They're above it, Mike.
Yeah, I know they have to say it, but that's not the case, Tony.
Right.
But look, here's what we're finding out. The Pacers just aren't good enough, Tone. Now, look, you get to a point in a series, every series, where both teams know who the better team is. I think we reached that point last night, and now we're just talking about the celebrating. This could go back to Miami for 6 after tomorrow night, but we know who the better team is.
LeBron went out there. He had some vicious dunks.
He did.
LeBron just said, really, you think I'm not good? Shut up.
Of course.
That's what happened.
All the great players get offended. Or if they're not offended, they act like they were. Let's go to the West, Tone, where you had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook being the only important members of OKC. I heard you.
That's right. I said that they play the piano, the others carry the piano.
That's right. Well, Serge Ibaka, he stopped carrying. He started playing.
Right.
Surely you must have changed your mind with his Game 3 performance. And we're not talking about a Spurs sweep anymore. We're talking about whether Oklahoma City can even the series tonight at home. Tony, with Ibaka back, apparently healthy, are you giving the Thunder a chance to win the series?
Well, to be fair, I always like Oklahoma City to win. I mean, I jumped off and jumped back. I'll say this about this game. I believe this is the pivot point game in the entire series.
Yep.
I believe that if San Antonio wins this game, they will win the series. And that if Oklahoma City wins this game, they are right back in it, and they will be able to conjure up the fact that previously they had lost 2 in a row to San Antonio and then won 4 in a row. So for me, this is the critical game.
Yeah, Tony, you know how you can look at a game and somebody can be down 2-0. You can say next goal wins or next run wins or next basket wins. I think we're at that point. I think the winner of tonight's game wins this series because at that point, Oklahoma City will have gotten not just back in the series, but they will have conjured up those good feelings of a couple of years ago. And Tony, Ibaka is such a pivotal figure because the one thing San Antonio has trouble with is OKC sees athleticism. And Ibaka embodies that. It's not just
Let me ask
Westbrook,
you a question.
who's a great athlete on that team.
This is a significant question because his presence reduced San Antonio's points in the paint probably by half.
Yes.
And led to more rebounds. But who's on the medical staff exactly at Oklahoma City that they ruled this guy out for the entire playoffs? Dr. Vinny Boom Bots? How did that happen?
Remember when the Spurs basically said, we don't believe for a minute that he's out? But my question
they don't rule
is
him
this.
out.
Well, what do you gain from the gamesmanship of saying he's out and then he comes back, unless you want to just have Willis Reed? Did you get Willis Reed fever? Were you excited, Mr. Nick?
No, because Serge Ibaka is not
played a
Willis
lot better
Reed.
than the captain did in May 8th, 1970.
Dave Yeager is going to stay as coach in Memphis, despite a Sports Illustrated story that catalogs how much Memphis owner Robert Pera burned to fire him. Apparently, over Yeager's refusal last September to force Tony Allen to play him, Pera, one-on-one. Pera, who fancies himself a terrific basketball player, began offering suggestions that included making Mike Miller the player coach and making Yeager wear an NFL-style headset to take instructions during games, maybe from Pera. Wilbon, does it make sense for the Grizzlies to keep Yeager and for Yeager to stay?
The key to any discussion about Pera is that he was wearing a shooting sleeve in warm-ups. See, if I was the commissioner, and luckily Adam Silver's a rational person, I would just fine him. I would say, you know what, we're going to have a new fine, $100,000 for thinking you are a player. You are nothing. Now, it's interesting that Yeager could have gone to Minnesota, Tone, and apparently they were going to let him, at least at one point, Power was going to let him. Look, when you're this dysfunctional, I would not go back. And this owner is, look, I don't care that he now seems to be on the same page. He was trying to make you wear a headset.
Yeah.
You have to leave if you get a job offer because this dude is whacked out.
I'm not going to disagree. I think if it was me, I would want to get out. But I will say, and I think it has to be said, that Memphis is a much better team than Minnesota. And you're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to win 50 games. Sadly, you get fired. Lionel Hollins got fired after winning 50 games. Pera strikes me as like some punk kid, 36-year-old billionaire who can do whatever he wants. Why does he want to play Tony Allen one-on-one? How can that be good for Tony Allen's job security either way? It's utterly ridiculous, and I don't understand why you get involved. He fired the CEO of the team, who was allegedly his dear friend.
He's just throwing people out of the front office, Tone, literally waking up in the morning, it seems, with all the rationale of saying, get out. It's Tuesday, I got to get rid of somebody. And Memphis, which was in the conference finals a year ago and could still be playing, you know, if Zach Randolph hadn't gotten thrown out of Game 7 unfairly, I thought. I don't know what this guy thinks he's doing, but we've seen young, whacked-out owners before. This is not a first. It's just the latest.
I will say that you're 100% right. When you see an owner with a shooting sleeve, that's the end of that discussion. Get that thing off your arm. Shooting sleeve.
Get out of the gym, please. In their first outings since their very public breakup last week, Rory McIlroy and Caroline Wozniacki had very different results. Sunday, McIlroy fired a 66 to come from 7 back and win the BMW in England, his first European Tour win in almost 18 months. And today at Roland Garros, Wozniacki went out in the first round to the 64th ranked player in the world. Tone, what conclusions are you comfortable drawing here?
Honestly, I'm not comfortable drawing any conclusions.
But I'm counting on you to do that, though.
Well, I think they're going to fall into the trap of gender stereotype, and you want to really tread lightly on that area. And Wozniacki, to be fair, this isn't her first time out in the first round. This is her third time out in the first round in her last 8 majors. And yet it seems to me undeniable that she appears to be affected more negatively in the breakup than Rory McIlroy was, considering Rory came back on Sunday and won this tournament. The danger here, though, is getting involved in armchair psychology, which I just did. You just did.
And I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm not going to be comfortable drawing any conclusions. I draw the same conclusion all the time with young male athletes. I am certainly unqualified completely to speak to female athletes or female anybody, but I'm going to speak to young male athletes.
Let's just do it.
When you are this young, another train coming. That includes actors. That includes any young men with great celebrity, you know, Johnny Football, if you're next on deck for this sort of thing. Yeah. Another train coming. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're out there in this world. Concentrate on your career. Maybe this sort of long-term investment isn't for you at the age of, what is McElroy, 23?
This is great.
Really?
Really, thank you so much for engaging in cultural stereotypes without a whim. You don't care. Here, look, he had a great comeback. There's no question about that. He shot 66 on a Sunday, came from 7 back, birdied 17 and 18. It was his words that he talked about the breakup. He said, it's my problem. I didn't see myself ready for marriage. I'll tell you honestly, I would have felt a lot better about this story if she had won in the first round. I would have been able to say, well, both are fine. And
here's what we can say. We're sad about Wozniacki's result in this tournament. But, you know, can we get out of the TMZ land now? Please?
You really ought to get that tattooed. Another train coming. Don't look now, but Manny Ramirez has been hired by your Chicago Cubs as a minor league player coach. Yes, that Manny Ramirez. To coach in the minors, not to play in the majors, but, Wilbon, isn't it somewhat hypocritical of the Cubs to hire Manny, who twice tested positive for PEDs, while shunning their own Sammy Sosa?
Well, Tony, I think, Theo has said something about Manny, taking responsibility, and that seems to be an easy theme if you want to justify hiring Manny Ramirez at any level. But let me just say this. It may be hypocritical. I'm not going to deny that. But you got to understand, Tony, I know this is hard for you, Mr. I-95, to understand. Manny Ramirez has no profile here.
How about
Even
Sammy
though he's
Sosa?
A great player going to the Hall of Fame.
How about Sammy Sosa? Does he have a profile?
Yes, and that's the point. Sammy Sosa has a huge profile, and people are either upset with Sammy. The drama here is around Sammy,
right? Not
around Manny, who, if he walks down Michigan Avenue right now, some people will wave, and some people say, Manny who? So Manny, not a big deal here. Sammy's the big deal, and Sammy has said on the record he's got to go a ways to mend some fences in Chicago, and I hope that'll happen.
He might, down the road. Look, Mark McGwire is a hitting coach at St. Louis, apparently does very well. I am surprised that Manny Ramirez is being put in the category of mentor. That's a little bit shocking to me. I talked to Bob Ryan on the radio today, and Ryan said he felt the same way. But he also said, bear in mind that he has seen Manny many times study hitting tape, that he actually was a student of hitting. His Hall of Fame credentials are there. Who knows if they'll ever get in? Same with Sammy Sosa.
Right,
but his numbers as a right-handed hitter, as Sammy Sosa, are impeccable numbers. So maybe he can transfer some of these skills. And I think it's worth pointing out that Theo Epstein knows Manny, and he may not know Sammy Sosa at all.
It's a relationship business. Why would he know Sammy Sosa? Right. Poppy also says that Manny's changed. But Theo Epstein, look, baseball, like every sport, every business, including the media business, there's a certain cronyism if you want to take the real cynical view of this. But, of course, he would bring in a guy he knows. Yeah. But, to call that a controversy here, Tone, not yet.
Let's take a break, but coming up, would the Kings be smart to trade for one guaranteed year of Kevin Love?
Plus, T.I. brawls with Floyd Mayweather. Johnny Manziel sits in the middle seat of coach. I want to hear you defend your boys. Johnny Manziel, he's got no chance with me in this next segment.
Now, you know T.I. is my boy from years back.
Coming this summer, the 2014 FIFA World Cup from Brazil. Every goal.
The shot scores! The USA leads by 2!
Every save.
There's Germany up. Steal. Close. In the box. Shot is stopped.
Every match. Wherever you are this summer, take the FIFA World Cup with you. It's on ESPN Radio and the ESPN Radio app.
It's a good thing I've been crushing the free weights lately, because with Wilbon gone, I'll have to carry mail time and read all 4 emails.
Mail time? It's so hard. Oh, no.
The Kings would be willing to trade for Kevin Love without any assurance he would re-sign with them. Is that smart strategy?
I mean, it's radio, sports talk show strategy, where you can just say, I'm going to trade you my scraps and you give me Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic. if you're not going to trade Boogie Cousins to Minnesota, then there's no trade to be made because there's no combination of people other than one involving DeMarcus Cousins that I'm going to take back if I'm Minnesota to give you Kevin Love. So this is preposterous. It's not a strategy. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why Love would do it. And somebody say, oh, it's in California. Well, he'd probably rather play in L.A. or Golden State where there are better teams at the moment. Why would he sign on with a team after 1 year that is a perennial also-ran exactly like the team he's on now that never gets to the playoffs? I don't have any comprehension of how this trade works for anyone.
Well, I'm sure that my man Mark Spears, who's reporting this for Yahoo, I'm sure that the teams are talking about what they'd like to do. So, of course, Sacramento would like to do that.
If Carey Price can practice, would you be tempted to play him tonight with your season on the line?
Yes, because Carey Price is the reason that the Montreal Canadiens are in the Eastern Conference Final. And that injury that he suffered, took him out. And it's sort of like Serge Ibaka.
Yes.
A lower leg injury.
Yes.
And you look at it, and the coach can say, well, I'm not going to play him. But if he can get out there, he's the best you've got. You see some light practice right there. Did that 2 days in a row. He's the best you got. Not just tempted. I think I'd play him.
No team from Canada has won the Stanley Cup since 1993. This is the elimination game for Montreal. And the backup goalie has been very, very good. He won a game, but there's a reason somebody is a backup goalie. This guy is your best player. It seems to me that if I'm running that franchise, if I have to lose with my best player, I will lose with my best player for the chance to win with him. So if the guy says he's ready, I'm going to play.
If the doctors clear him and he says, Coach, put me in, I'm ready to play, do it.
Johnny Manziel, your boy.
Yeah.
In the middle seat, man of the people or small time?
Look, I'm going to make this very clear, okay? Look, you can't be a baller if you're in the middle seat and coach, okay? Come on, Johnny, what are you doing? I haven't sat in the middle seat and coach since I was in high school. And this is so lame. It doesn't matter who you're surrounded by at Vegas. In the middle seat and coach, you can't even do your move unless you got gator arms. You got to do it like that because you can't stretch out. What is he doing? This is a humiliating moment. He may as well just stay at the crib like you. This is so pathetic that Johnny's doing this. This should embarrass all of Cleveland. Middle seat coach,
This is an unbelievable first world problem as you see it. Because you have never been in coach in this century. You've never been there.
That's right.
I will tell
this
you,
century.
This is Jimmy Haslam's favorite photo because it says, not only did we tell you that you're not going to start, not only did we put you in coach, we put you in a middle seat. Johnny Manziel, surrounded by beautiful women in Vegas, he ought to leave the Browns.
Matter.
Get out now. Get out.
Doesn't matter. That is negated because you were in the middle seat. Are you kidding me?
I'm not arguing this. Do you admire T.I. at all for taking a swing at Floyd Mayweather?
Well, maybe a little bit, because T.I. comes out of this relatively unscathed. He can say, look, my hand is bandaged because I fired up on the champ's head, whether or not that's true. He could have got stepped on in the dog pile. But if you can go after the champ and not come away with, like, your whole face battered, maybe that's something you can point to. I mean, how many people get to say, I went after the most important guy in boxing and came out with just a bandage?
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't want to be surprised, you will know this fight was over a woman. Well, this is like lack of surprise number one. Do I admire him at all? Did he hit him? I mean, I don't know if he hit him, but I doubt it. To be fair, I think at this point that you have to score the round for T.I. because he was able to survive this. Here's the great quote. T.I. says to Floyd, you do it in the ring, I do it in the streets. And Floyd said, my man, I do it everywhere.
Yeah,
you can find out if you want.
Yeah.
I think the scoring is just a little bit for T.I.
T.I. can come out relatively unscathed with bodyguards and bartenders and homies and peeps. But if you put the two of them any place on earth, T.I. is going to have to duck and run from the money man.
Enough email. Time for a break, but on the way, a PTI tribute to the other half of Griffin Force.
I'm still getting over your boy in the middle seat and coach. Plus, Josh Beckett's no-no, Vince Wilfork's barbecue dance moves. You can't even shake your shoulders when you're in the middle and coach. You can't even get your groove onto your iPod. What are you doing?
Happy time, people. Happy 41st birthday, Jack McBrayer. Best known as Kenneth, the hapless Rockefeller Center page in 30 Rock, but more recent sports connection, McBrayer is in some of the Blake Griffin Kia commercials, notably as the Griffin Force sidekick in the same costume as Griffin, who falls down from the rope.
I don't watch 30 Rock, so I would have known him from that. I just don't get these commercials. I love Blake Griffin. I know he's very marketable, but the commercials, they're lost on me.
Happy anniversary, Lenny Randle. On this day 32 years ago, you got on your hands and knees to blow an infield hit into foul territory. After initially ruling a foul ball, umpire Larry McCoy was persuaded by Royals manager Jim Fry to reward batter Amos Otis first base since Randle was interfering with the ball's path.
Yeah, but a lot of things can interfere with the ball's path. I thought that was the wrong call. I thought blowing the ball foul was great.
Happy trails, A.J. Ellis. The Dodgers' unlucky catcher ended up on the 15-day DL after stepping on a catcher's mask and injuring his ankle in the middle of a pile of teammates congratulating Josh Beckett for Beckett's no-hitter. Much to the chagrin of Red Sox fans, Beckett posted his first no-hitter. It came during his 321st start, the most starts before a no-hitter since David Cone in 1999.
Tone, I am always surprised there aren't more players injured like that in those celebrations where some fluke thing can happen.
Reality, what did we mess up?
McGuire, now hitting coach of the Dodgers, Tone, and Cowboys fear MLB Sean Lee may have tore his ACL in OTAs.
Yeah. Big finish quick. Jeff Samardzija won his first game of the season. So do you finally think he's good now?
He's been good. That sounds like a reality question. Australian Open champ Stan Wawrinka and Lee Na both went out of the French in the first round. You disappointed?
I'm not. They are. Vince Wilfork dances while he barbecues. Fair or foul?
I thought everybody danced while they barbecue. I don't get the question. Landon Donovan had 2 goals and an assist Sunday. You think your boy Klinsmann is having second thoughts?
I don't, but he should. Because Donovan, he's good. Last one. Mark Burley goes for his Major League leading 9th win of the season tonight. Will he get it?
Why not? He and the Blue Jays are hot. They've won 7 straight games, Tone. Sure.
We are out of time. We will try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Eric, Julia, and Kristen and Joe, we are thinking about you.
We are.